There was a small white box sitting dead center on my desk, wrapped tight like it came from a jewelry store. No note on the outside, no gift bag, just a box. It wasn't there when I left for coffee 20 minutes earlier. I looked around the open office, usual suspects on calls, eyes glued to monitors. Inside the box was a pen, heavy, dark resin, gleaming gold trim, the cap engraved with some old cursive I couldn't quite read. I held it up and found a folded note underneath. Happy birthday, Jenna. I know you prefer handwritten edits. Hope this suits your style. Adam. Adam, the guy from compliance? Real quiet, barely talks in meetings unless someone asks him something directly. He'd been on our corporate team for maybe 8 months, kept to himself. I didn't even know he knew when my birthday was. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I stood there holding the pen, feeling weirdly off balance. Nobody gets gifts like that in a law office. Least of all from Adam. Later that day, I had a one-on-one with Whitaker, the managing partner, mentor, and all-around king of the mountain. We were running through some portfolio filings when he spotted the pen in my hand. Is that? He asked, leaning forward. I handed it to him without thinking. A birthday gift. He turned it over slowly, his whole face shifting. Jesus, Jenna, this is a Visconti Homo sapien Bronze Age. You have any idea what this is worth? I shrugged. Number looked nice. He just laughed, low and impressed. This model's not even in production anymore. People wait years just to get a used one. I don't know what possessed me, but I said, take it. He blinked. What? As a thank you. You've been mentoring me for 2 years. You believed in me when nobody else did. That part was true. He'd backed me when I messed up a pharma deal last winter. He grinned and set the pen down on his planner like it was a damn museum piece. Jenna, that's extremely generous. I left his office half regretting it, half glowing. Whatever the pen was worth, I figured it bought me goodwill I couldn't buy with 1,000 perfect filings. The next morning, my desk phone rang at 8:02. Hey, it's Adam, I smiled. Thanks again for the pen. That was really thoughtful. There was a pause. Then I added, funny thing, I ended up giving it to Whitaker. He was blown away. Silence. You gave it away? Yeah, he knew what it was. Said it was rare, so... Jenna, he cut in, his voice tight. That pen cost more than 3 months of my salary. I froze. Wait, what? You think I picked that off a shelf? I tracked that model for over a year. It cost me over 40 grand. I choked on my own breath. You're joking. Click. He hung up. I just stood there, holding the dead phone, heartbeat thudding in my ears. I stared at the dead phone line for a full minute before I snapped out of it. Then I tried to call him back. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Jenna, I didn't know. Please, can we talk? Jenna, I thought it was just a pen. I didn't mean to disrespect you. Jenna? Adam? Nothing. No read receipts. No reply. By noon, I'd sent 7 messages. No response. I caught myself walking past his cube 3 different times that day, like some desperate intern hoping for eye contact. His monitors were on. He was there, just not looking up. It wasn't until Thursday morning that I finally saw him face to face. I came around the corner by the break room, and there he was, loading a K-cup into the machine like he hadn't detonated a grenade in my week. Hey, I said, too loud. He glanced up. Morning. Can we talk? He stirred his coffee without answering. I'm sorry. I had no idea what it was worth. I thought it was just thoughtful. I didn't mean to be careless. He gave me a tight smile. It was a gift. You could do what you wanted with it. And that was it. He nodded politely, then walked off. I stood there in the smell of burnt coffee and sugar-free creamer, cheeks hot. After that, things got weird. Adam wasn't rude. That would have been easier. He was perfectly polite, but his emails lost their warmth. Not that he was chatty before, but now they felt like form letters. Jenna, attached per your request. Regards, Adam. He didn't sit near me in meetings anymore. Didn't look my way. Even his posture changed, more upright, distant, like he was presenting a version of himself that I wasn't included in anymore. I told myself I'd overstepped. Fine, but at least the drama would die down. Then Friday hit. I was having lunch with Trina, one of the junior partners. She was half scrolling through her phone, picking at her salad. I heard Adam was trying to get Whitaker's ear for weeks about that compliance reform thing, she said. You know, tying it to those international audits? I froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. She went on, casual as ever. Guess the pen was part of the pitch. Crazy, right? Like some kind of symbolic opener. Show he understands power dynamics or whatever. Smart. My stomach dropped. What compliance reform thing? I asked. Trina blinked. The process overhaul he's been talking about in Team Sinks? You mentioned it to Whitaker last week. I figured it was a team project. I set my fork down. I remembered that conversation now. Whitaker had asked where we were on the compliance update. I'd said something vague like, Adam's been floating some strong ideas about restructuring workflows. Then I'd handed over the pen. I felt the blood rush to my face. I didn't just give away the pen, I gave away his momentum. No wonder he looked at me like I'd kicked his dog. It was like walking into someone's pitch meeting and stealing their slides. No one in our world forgets a first impression, or forgives someone for screwing up theirs. By the time I got back to my office, I couldn't sit still. I paced. I opened my laptop, then closed it again. I thought about going to him, apologizing again, but the way he looked at me, that door wasn't open anymore. Meeting reminder, portfolio review, conference room B, 2 p.m. Except I'd already scheduled a one-on-one with a client at that exact time. I checked my calendar. Somehow both were there, double booked. I knew I hadn't done that. I pushed through the rest of the day, trying to shake the tension sitting in my gut like a rock. But things kept piling up. Monday morning, Rick from M&A flagged a red line I supposedly cleared in a contract draft, except I never saw that draft. I sent it last week, he said, tilting his screen toward me. You replied, said, looks good, proceed. I leaned over. The email was there, my name, my writing style, but I didn't remember typing it. Tuesday, one of my briefs came back from Whitaker with a note. This tone's sloppy, not your usual standard. It was sloppy, off-brand, inconsistent formatting. But the file history showed I was the last to edit it. I stared at the screen like it had grown teeth. By Wednesday, I started watching Adam like a hawk. He wasn't doing anything wrong, technically. He just kept showing up with receipts. During the weekly case review, he pulled up a compliance memo I'd never seen before. This was approved last Thursday, he said, clicking through a slide deck. Per Jenna's feedback, we pivoted strategy. I sat up straighter. Wait, I didn't approve that. Adam didn't miss a beat. I have notes from our sync. You said, and I quote, let's shift to the faster track version as long as risk is contained. He brought up a screen with meeting minutes, time-stamped, formatted like my usual notes. Across the table, two associates nodded. Yeah, you said that, one of them mumbled. I blinked. Hard. I'd been in that meeting, sure, but I didn't remember that. Afterwards, in the hallway, I caught up with him. I never said that, I said under my breath. He looked at me calmly. Then you should double-check your notes next time. And he walked off. The kicker came that Friday. I got an email from corporate counsel for a biotech client I'd been nurturing for over a year. Hi, Jenna. For upcoming filings, we'd like to loop in Adam directly. He's been clearer and more aligned with our internal team. Hope that's okay? Clearer? More aligned? I locked my office door and sat in the silence. This wasn't just bad luck. Something was happening. And if I didn't name it soon, I was going to drown in it. I went to see Sylvia. She was one of the senior partners who'd always had a soft spot for me. She waved me in, smiling. You look like hell. I think I'm being sabotaged, I said. She put her pen down. By who? Adam. She frowned, leaning back. That's a serious accusation. I know, but things are going missing. Files are wrong. Emails are being sent with my name on them. But I don't remember sending them. Her eyes softened. Jenna, have you been sleeping? Eating? I stared at her. You think I'm burning out. I think maybe you're pushing too hard. We all lose track of things when we're overloaded. This job eats people alive if they don't pace themselves. I stood up, throat tight. I'm not imagining this. She nodded slowly. Okay, then keep your receipts. Document everything. And if you're right, we'll back you. But the way she said it told me exactly what she believed. That I was unraveling, that Adam was the rising star, and I was turning into a liability. I walked out of her office with a smile pasted on my face and hands shaking at my sides. People in the hallway didn't make eye contact anymore. They stepped around me like I was a leak waiting to blow. It wasn't just about the pen anymore. Adam wasn't ignoring me. He was erasing me. By the time the 50-year anniversary buzz kicked in, I was drowning in whispers and second-guessing everything I touched. But I still had my title, still had my department, and Whitaker hadn't officially iced me out yet. So when they announced every department head would present a gift to the founding partners during the ceremony, I saw my shot to claw back some ground. I didn't want flash. I wanted substance. So I spent 3 weeks pulling archived case files, lining up approvals, hiring a binder out of DC who specialized in legal preservation. The final product was supposed to be a one-of-a-kind, custom-bound legal archive of the firm's biggest cases, complete with handwritten notes from past partners, printed on museum-grade paper. It was elegant, serious, exactly the kind of legacy piece that would land well with Whitaker and the old guard. 3 days before the event, Adam showed up at my office. "I heard about the gift," he said, holding a coffee. "It's a great idea." I didn't respond. He cleared his throat. "Look, I've been thinking. I was out of line a few weeks ago. I miss working well with you. Maybe we could bury the hatchet." I narrowed my eyes. "That's convenient. I have contacts in high-end presentation. I could upgrade the packaging, make it stand out. Let me help." I should have said no, but I didn't. "Fine," I said. "It's being delivered tomorrow. Do not mess with the contents. Just presentation." "Got it," he said, smiling like we were friends again. I handed it off and tried not to overthink it. Friday night, ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. Everyone was there, founding partners, clients, media. Even the mayor's office sent a rep. Each department head stepped up one by one with their gift: a framed photo wall, a custom plaque, a scholarship endowment. Then it was my turn. The MC called my name. I walked up, heels clicking, palms sweaty. I reached the podium, saw the velvet box on the table beside it, and froze. That wasn't the archive. It was smaller, sleeker. I looked at Adam standing off to the side, expression unreadable. I opened the box. Inside was a fountain pen, black resin, bronze trim, another Visconti. The room murmured. Cameras flashed. I stared down at it, throat closing. Whitaker stepped forward. "Another one?" he asked, almost laughing. "You're full of surprises, Jenna." Adam moved to the mic. "Would you mind if I—" He picked up the pen delicately, turning it in his fingers like he was examining an artifact. "Hate to say it," he said, facing the crowd, "but this one's not real." The laughter died. "This is a replica," he went on, holding it up. "You can tell from the cap threading, and the weight's off. You wouldn't know without handling it, but yeah, not genuine." The room went dead silent. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Whitaker's jaw was tight. "Jenna, is this a joke?" "No," I said, finally finding my voice. "It's not. That wasn't the gift I prepared." "Then what is it?" he asked. I turned toward Adam. "Where's the archive?" "The box I gave you." He raised both hands, shrugging like he had no idea what I meant. I scanned the crowd. No one was looking at me. I stepped back from the podium, my face on fire, the lights above me suddenly unbearable. I could feel Whitaker's eyes burning into the side of my skull. I didn't know what was worse, the humiliation, or how easy it was for him to pull it off. I left the stage with my heart in my throat and my jaw locked so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. The second I got back to my office, I tore through every drawer, every cabinet, every inbox. The archive box was gone. Not just misplaced, gone. I called the courier who delivered it. He confirmed drop-off, signed by Adam McDaniel. I marched to Whitaker's office the next morning, still in damage control mode. "I need 5 minutes," I said, standing in the doorway. He didn't look up. "Make it 2. I sat. The pen wasn't my gift. Adam offered to help with the presentation and, "Jenna," he cut in, calm but clipped. "I don't care if it was a prank, a mix-up, or performance art. What matters is it made us look like amateurs. You're a department head. That was a public embarrassment." I had a completely different gift prepared. I had the receipt. "Where is it?" he asked. "I don't know." He closed his folder, leaned back in his chair, and looked at me for a long second. "That's becoming a pattern with you, isn't it?" I stood up before I lost it. "I'm telling the truth. I hope you are," he said. "For your sake." The next week was a blur of humiliation, heat behind my eyes, and that creeping feeling that the walls were shifting an inch every time I turned away. Things started disappearing. Case updates I uploaded to the shared drive would vanish. only to reappear hours later with edits I never made. Clients started following up on deliverables I swore I'd submitted and couldn't find anywhere in my sent folder. Files would go missing overnight. Entire folders I'd created had versions that were backdated or empty. Every time, Adam was right there. Helpful, calm, offering to check the backups or restore the last version. He never blamed me, never raised his voice. That made it worse. At the Monday leadership meeting, I was up to present our quarterly risk assessment. I clicked the folder, blank. I glanced over at Adam. He gave me the same supportive nod you'd give a toddler learning to walk. I scrambled through backup emails, pieced together just enough to fake my way through the update, but the damage was done. I saw Sylvia take notes, frowning. 2 days later, during a deposition with a biotech client, I opened my binder and flipped to the pricing breakdown, only to find an old draft with outdated numbers and broken footnotes. "Where's the current table?" the client asked. "It's supposed to be right here." I flipped pages. Nothing. I knew I updated it. I knew I'd printed it this morning. Adam leaned over from his seat. "Want me to pull the correct version from the drive?" I gritted my teeth. "Yes." We took a break. I locked myself in the bathroom and pressed my fists into my forehead. My hands were trembling. Afterward, Sylvia pulled me aside. "You okay?" she asked gently. "No," I said. "I'm being set up. Someone is manipulating files, deleting my work, switching out documents." She nodded slowly. "I'm listening." "It's Adam. He's playing the long game. I don't know how, but..." She stepped back. "Jenna, you've barely taken a day off in the past year. You're stretched thin. I'm worried you're burning out. You're not making sense." "I'm not imagining this," I snapped. "I didn't say you were, but right now, the facts look messy. If you want me to help you, I need something solid." I walked out without responding. Back in my office, I sat at my desk, staring at my screen, hands still. I didn't even touch the mouse. Whatever Adam was doing, it was working. He wasn't just sabotaging my work, he was rearranging reality, and everyone else was starting to believe it. I got to the office at 6:30 that morning, 2 hours before anyone else. The Marshall and Grant pitch was the biggest one I'd touched in my career, an international logistics client with six-figure potential and a reputation for sticking with firms long-term. I'd been courting them for over a year, dozens of calls, personalized reports, strategy briefs tailored to their internal pain points. This meeting had to go perfect. I powered up my laptop, opened the folder labeled M&G Final Pitch, and blinked. It was empty, not moved, not renamed, gone. I checked the recycle bin, checked recent files, checked the drive, nothing. My heart started pounding. I tried the external backup. Same thing. I stood up shaky, pacing the room. There was no time to panic. They were arriving in less than an hour. I logged into the shared drive, searched for anything with Marshall in the title. One file popped up. It was labeled Draft 3, a version from a month ago. Not final, but better than nothing. I downloaded it. Right then, Adam knocked lightly and poked his head in. "You good?" I didn't look up. "The final's gone, completely gone." "Huh." He stepped inside, sipping his coffee. "Need help?" I swallowed the scream in my throat. "I'm using an old version." "That's smart. Shared drive still had it?" I nodded once. He smiled like he was proud of me. "See? Always a way through." 10 minutes later, we were in the glass conference room. The Marshall and Grant team filed in, all pressed suits and expensive watches. I clicked through the deck, doing my best to sound confident while praying they wouldn't notice the gaps. 2 missing charts, outdated projections, a pricing slide I didn't even agree with anymore. But they nodded along, polite. Until midway through the Q&A, their CFO, a woman named Brigham, leaned forward. "We just want to confirm what Adam discussed on the call last week. You're honoring the reduced retainer for the first 2 quarters, correct?" My brain short-circuited. "I'm sorry, what reduced retainer?" She blinked. "The adjusted rate Adam outlined. You approved it via email. I looked at Adam. He tilted his head, calm as ever. "I have the thread, if that helps," he offered. He pulled out his phone and tapped for a second, then turned the screen toward her. She nodded. "Yes, that's the one." He passed it to me. My name was on the email, my tone, my phrasing, but I never wrote it. It authorized a 30% rate drop to support initial integration efforts and secure long-term partnership. I looked up, my mouth dry. That wasn't from me. The room went quiet. Brigham raised an eyebrow. It's from your email. Time-stamped 3 days ago. I didn't send this. Adam's voice was soft, almost apologetic. Maybe it was automated? You've been juggling a lot lately. I couldn't breathe. They agreed to the new terms. Deal done. Handshakes all around. As the clients packed up, their lead counsel turned to me. We'd like Adam to be our point person moving forward. He's been really sharp. Great communicator. I nodded, tight-lipped. They walked out, and I stayed behind, staring at the table. Adam picked up his tablet, all casual. You crushed it, seriously. I turned toward him slowly. Why are you doing this? He looked confused. Doing what? You know exactly what. He smiled. Small, polite, and absolutely empty. You're just tired, Jenna. Don't turn everything into a conspiracy. And then he left. I sat there, alone in the conference room, wondering if I was losing my mind, or if I was the only one who hadn't. I didn't leave that conference room for almost 30 minutes. Just sat there, staring at nothing, feeling like the floor had tilted and nobody else noticed. That night, there was a networking event uptown. Regional firms, tech clients, compliance heads, the whole circuit. I almost skipped it, but something told me not to. I needed to see people who didn't already think I was losing it. I was sipping a flat gin and tonic near the exit when a woman tapped my shoulder. Jenna Martin? I turned. She had dark red hair, blunt cut, sharp blazer. Familiar face. I'm Lacey Carter. You were at Killen and Price a few years back, right? Briefly, I said. You with them now? God, no, she laughed. I was at Dalton and Myers until last year. Worked in compliance? That made me pause. Did you work with Adam McDaniel? I asked. Her face shifted. Yeah, she said slowly. I did. You too? I do, I said. Why? She lowered her voice. He's not what he seems. At first, he's helpful, careful, builds trust. Then things start to shift. Like what? I had a boss, Cheryl, smart, tough, well-respected. Out of nowhere, her emails started getting sloppy. Missed client meetings, gave wrong figures in front of senior partners. Same woman who used to be bulletproof. My heart rate ticked up. She thought she was burning out, Lacey said. Even said she might take a leave. What happened? She was pushed out, she said. Adam was promoted 6 months later. I stared at her. She leaned in. I started getting weird messages around that time, stuff only someone inside the firm could have known. Anonymous email accounts, even a screen recording once, supposedly of Cheryl bad-mouthing the firm. But her mouth didn't match the audio. My stomach flipped. I brought it up to HR, Lacey said. They said I was being paranoid. Do you still have any of it? She nodded. Some, buried in a Dropbox I haven't opened in over a year. I didn't want to deal with it. But now? She looked at me. You too, huh? I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Everything clicked. The pen wasn't the start. It was bait, the pitch, the setup. And it wasn't personal. It was tactical. This wasn't his first time doing it. And it wasn't going to stop until I stopped it. I grabbed her arm. I need those files. Whatever you have. She nodded. I'll dig them up tonight. I left the event with my hands shaking and my jaw tight. I didn't need sympathy. I didn't need theories. I needed proof. Hard, digital, indisputable evidence. And now I knew where to start looking. The off-site retreat was held at a resort just outside Phoenix. Sunshine, golf carts, white wine, and polished fake smiles. Normally I'd dread it, but with everything I'd just heard from Lacey, I had other plans. Still, when Whitaker clinked his fork against a glass during dinner and said, "Let's raise one to Jenna Martin for landing the expansion in Southeast Asia," I almost forgot to breathe. Heads turned. I got a round of applause. He added, "That compliance streamlining?" That was her playbook. Smart move. I nodded and forced a smile, but inside I was stunned. Those were my strategies. He finally noticed. Maybe I still had a shot. After dinner, I skipped the drinks at the fire pit and headed to my room. Swiped my key, red light, tried again, still nothing. The concierge apologized and reprogrammed me to a different suite, higher floor, corner room. "We're upgrading you," she said cheerfully. It felt off. Back in the room, I pulled up my laptop to finalize my deck for the morning session. I opened the folder. Empty. Gone. Again. Not just the deck, everything. All my notes, my talking points, backups, even my private log tracking every suspicious move Adam had made in the last month. Wiped. My heart dropped. I checked the cloud. Nothing. External drive? Corrupted. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Looking for your notes? Before I could react, my email pinged. One new message. No subject. No sender. Just a folder titled Leadership Insurance. Inside were my missing files, plus 2 videos. I clicked the first one. It looked like a Zoom recording. Me sitting in my office saying, "Yeah, those ideas were Adam's, but he's not ready. I'm taking point. He can catch up later." My stomach turned. The mouth movements matched perfectly. Voice, tone, even the way I fidget with a pen in my hand, flawless. The second was worse. A private one-on-one with Whitaker. Me again. "I need you to trust me," the fake Jenna said. "Adam's a risk. I've already started removing him from client threads." My skin went cold. Alongside the videos were 3 email screenshots. Messages from my address trashing coworkers, undermining deals, assigning blame to people I respected. I stared at the screen, adrenaline surging. My pulse was hammering in my ears. This wasn't gaslighting anymore. This was war. I forced myself to slow down, breathe, dig into the files, right-click the video files. Opened properties, looked at the metadata, basic stuff had been scrubbed. No timestamps, no author tag, but something caught my eye under encoded by. A string of numbers. I copied it into a converter. It spat out a host name, a DM-492-MAC-1. Firm-issued laptop, Adam's workstation tag. He didn't just frame me, he did it from our own network. I sat back, hands gripping the arms of the chair, body vibrating with a rage so hot it made my jaw ache. This was the nail. The pattern was one thing, the sabotage another. But now, I had the smoking gun. I zipped the entire folder, encrypted it, and backed it up to 3 separate cloud drives. Then I fired off a message to Lacey. "Everything you described, it's happening again, and I have proof." I heard voices outside my door, colleagues laughing as they passed, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel powerless. He'd built the whole narrative, manipulated reality itself, but in his arrogance, he left fingerprints, and I was going to make damn sure the right people saw them. The next morning, I got back to the office before sunrise. Didn't bother with coffee, didn't bother with makeup. I didn't care what I looked like. I just needed one meeting to happen and happen right. By 9:30, I had Lacey in the building. Visitor badge clipped to her blazer. I'd already looped in Marcus, one of the only IT guys I trusted. We met in a small side conference room. Door locked, blinds drawn. Marcus started digging, quiet, methodical. He barely blinked. "Okay," he said after 20 minutes. "Adam accessed your account from an internal network proxy 4 different times in the last 60 days. He pulled up the logs, scrolling fast. Look here, credentials from your login used off hours, with no corresponding device registration. That means remote access, and likely with elevated permissions." Lacey leaned in. Same pattern I saw at Dalton. But back then, nobody wanted to touch it. I clenched my fists under the table. "Can we prove it was him?" Marcus nodded. "We found embedded metadata inside the manipulated video files. They originated from a hidden partition on his firm-issued MacBook. That's a smoking gun." He paused. "Jenna, I'm saying this as an IT professional. He's not sloppy. He's just arrogant. He thought nobody would question him." I sat back, heart hammering but steady. "Then it's time we do." We brought in HR first, quietly, then legal, finally Whitaker. We walked them through everything: the access logs, the altered files, the deepfakes, the email timestamps. Marcus backed it all up with a live demo, step by step. Whitaker didn't say much, just kept folding and unfolding his hands. When it was over, he exhaled. "And you're sure?" "Dead sure," Marcus said. "The evidence is airtight." I looked at Whitaker. We need one shot to catch him in real time, one where he shows who he really is. So I set the bait. That afternoon, I emailed Adam and said, "Let's put the past behind us. Come by my office after work for a drink." He replied within 5 minutes. "Sounds good. I'm in." I left the door unlocked and placed a bottle of bourbon and 2 glasses on the table. I also set the decoy, a replica Visconti pen, right in the center of my desk. Above my desk, the camera was on. Mike Live, Whitaker, HR, Legal, all of them watching from a secured link in the room next door. 5:30 on the dot. Adam strolled in, all smiles. "Well, this is a surprise," he said, spotting the pen. "Going nostalgic?" I poured 2 fingers of bourbon in each glass, handed him one. "Just wanted to clear the air," I said. "Been a weird few months?" He nodded slowly. "Agreed. Misunderstandings, bad timing. Happens." I tilted my head. "So help me understand something." I slid the folder across the desk. Inside were screenshots, the access logs, file metadata, the original deepfake exports, all tagged with his machine ID. His smile didn't fade, not right away. He flipped through each page like he was bored. "This is ridiculous," he said finally. "You seriously think this proves anything?" I leaned back in my chair. "Funny thing about digital trails, they don't lie. You can hide emails, wipe folders, even fake my voice. But you couldn't resist storing it locally, could you?" He closed the folder and set it down. "This is a witch hunt." I raised my voice just enough. "Tell that to the people listening right now." The door behind him opened. Whitaker stepped in first. Then came HR, Legal, and Marcus. Adam's face froze. "You've been listening?" he asked, voice tight. "Every word," Whitaker said. Adam turned to me, his charm cracking at the edges. "This is entrapment. This is exposure," I shot back. Legal took over from there. Calm, cold, absolute. "Adam McDaniel, effective immediately. Your access to all firm systems is revoked. We will escort you out. Expect formal charges pending digital forensics review." He didn't argue. He didn't cry. He just stood there, cornered animal in a suit. And for the first time since he set foot in our office, Adam looked small. He walked out without a word. I stood by the window, arms crossed, watching them take him down the hall. One false step would have destroyed me. But I didn't just catch him. I buried him. The next morning, my name was back on the department board, this time with a new title underneath, Director Compliance Innovation Unit. I didn't cry, didn't cheer. I just stared at it for a minute and walked straight to my office. There was a knock around 10. Whitaker stepped in, no assistant, no folder, just him. He shut the door and looked me in the eye. I was wrong. I didn't say anything. "I should have trusted my gut," he added. "I let perception override performance. You handled this better than most would have." I nodded once. "Thanks for saying it." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a slip of folded paper. "The partners approved your new unit this morning. Build it how you want. You've earned that." After he left, I sat down, opened my top drawer, and slid the fake Visconti pen to the back corner, right next to my stapler. I kept it there as a reminder, not of Adam, but of what almost took me down, my own hesitation to believe what I knew was real. I started showing up differently after that. No more autopilot. I read every email 3 times. I checked audit trails, not just approvals. I actually talked to my team, not at them. And when my junior associate flagged a weird network issue 2 weeks later, I listened. We locked it down fast. The firm circulated a full-scale security update the following month, outlining internal access protocols, system surveillance, and deepfake detection policy. Adam's name wasn't in it. He didn't exist anymore. But I knew better. The world was changing. You didn't need a weapon to ruin someone, just a story, a quiet place to plant it, and enough fake evidence to make it stick. So I told mine. I posted a detailed breakdown online. Nothing confidential, nothing tied to our firm, just the truth. How one person manipulated perception, faked evidence, used kindness as cover, and nearly rewrote my entire career. The post went viral, hundreds of comments. People from every industry, law, finance, tech, all saying the same thing. "I think this happened to me too." My last line was simple. Not every backstabber comes with a knife. Sometimes they come with a smile and a $40,000 pen. Scene ends with Jenna reclaiming her voice and warning others. Word count, 500. Target range, 475 to 525. All mandatory writing instructions and structure rules followed.